What's up, A to Z Sports Live on a Tuesday, and Sam Phelan. It is game week. The NFL regular season is upon us, just a couple nights away from the opener Thursday Night Football, then a bonus second opener on Friday Night Football in Brazil, but you can't use Twitter while you're down there. But they're going to have a great week of shows as we get ready for Titans at Bears to open up this brand new era of Tennessee Titans football with Brian Callahan, Will Levis, the starting quarterback, all the new pieces, the new faces, the new schemes, and the unknown that we have here as the Titans are going to play a team that has a bunch of the same characteristics that I just mentioned. So, Sam, we're going to dive into this week and today about where the Titans had the biggest advantage over the Bears in week one. Then we'll flip it where the Bears have the biggest advantage of the Titans. We'll throw some shade at the end of the show on a short week with Labor Day yesterday. I hope everybody had a great long weekend. We did have some great content over the Labor Day weekend. You had a chance to go one-on-one with DeAndre Hopkins, and we'll play a portion of that interview here in a few minutes. We'll talk about D-Hop's football camp that we were a part of promoting the last couple of weeks. But before we talk and we hear from Brian Callahan on Will Levis, on Caleb Williams, all these different problems this Bears squad is going to present before we dive into this full week of predictions. And there's a couple of A to Z announcements that we're going to have, one of them later today, one of them tomorrow that we'll get to react to throughout the week as well. And Zach will be back on Friday. So people were expecting Zach to be back today. No. Is this a Monday during the regular season? No, it's not. So Zach is not back, but he will be back on Friday, then Mondays for the rest of the season. Sam, welcome in. Hope you had a good weekend. Let's get it going.
Yeah, here we go. King VZ says it. Lock in, like the show. Everybody drop a thumbs up on both YouTube and Facebook before we get it going. Austin, I am pumped up for week one. I think this is a very fun, exciting matchup for both the Titans and the Bears. And I think one of these two fan bases is obviously going to come out very pleased with the trajectory of their team. This is a fascinating one. I saw comments as well coming in earlier just saying, hey, who else is going down to Chicago? I'll be in Chicago. So let me know if you're a Titans fan going to Chicago. I know our guy, Austin Huff, over at Corked Bats, is putting on a little event on Saturday night for Titans fans in Chicago. I'm thinking about showing up, Austin.
I think you should.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna show face here. Meet some Titans fans, say what's up. So if you're heading to Chicago, maybe wanting to head over to that event, let me know on Twitter. I wanted to get that out before we get into the show this morning. Would love to meet some of you guys up in my hometown, Chicago, Illinois. But we got a great show today. And before we get going, make sure everybody shares the show. That's priority number one. If you're watching on Facebook, hit the share button in the bottom right corner. If you're watching on YouTube, you can take that YouTube link, send it to a Titans fan, send it to a group chat. Anybody in your life that doesn't know what A to Z Sports is, let them know what A to Z Sports is. Take that link and share the show before we kick it off on a Tuesday morning.
Yep, let's get it going officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports, powered as always by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Sam Phelan, our Titans reporter for A to Z Sports.com. And we are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, going live weekday mornings at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show segment by segment on our Twitter X timeline. Also hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more great Titans content. Got to thank our sponsors. They make it happen for us, and they help out all of you, like Wilson County Hyundai. WilsonCountyHyundai.com is where to go to make them a part of your new car buying process. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Farm Bureau Health Plans, get better with Farm Bureau Health Plans, and you can get a quote to save money and get better coverage with our link, fbhp.com/ATOZ. And new sponsor alert. Happy September, everybody. New sponsor alert. T-Dot. Are you ready to be rewarded by making sure that nobody trashes Tennessee? Go to nobodytrashestennessee.com and become an NTT Trash Master. So shout out to our new friends at T-Dot. Excited about all the things that they have going on this football season. So T-Dot, the Tennessee Department of Transportation, if you are not very good with that. But shout out to them, new partner on the show. Pumped about that. All right, Sam. It is a new week.
Hey,
go. What do you got?
Well, hey, chat knows what they're doing this morning, Austin. They're buttering me up a little bit. They know, hey, there's gonna be some controversial shows here. Sam's talking about the Bears and the Titans, and it might get a little bit chippy. And I just want to, tip of the cap to everybody in the chat. I see some compliments on the beard, Austin. We know that's a good way to get my heart going early, like that. That's love right there. That's people talking about Chicago. That's love right there. I saw comments asking for food recommendations. I will give you some, but I will not waste time of our show this morning giving you some. So if you want food recommendations in
Let's do
Chicago,
it Thursday. Let's do that Thursday.
okay.
Is that good? Does that sound good to you?
Yeah, or I can just message people on Twitter.
Or
I'm a
you can
man
hit
of
it,
the
Sam, up
people.
on Twitter.
So
But
we'll
maybe,
see. But I just
maybe
want
we'll
to say,
do some.
chat,
Yeah.
I see what chat's doing. They're playing mental games with me before I get going here. They're like, oh, Sam, you look so handsome today. Thanks, chat. Guess what? We still got to have a nice debate this morning.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be interesting. But, Sam, before we dive into Titans at Bears for week 1, we had a really cool opportunity, and we've been talking about it over the last couple of weeks with DeAndre Hopkins Youth Football Camp. You got a chance to go one-on-one with DeAndre Hopkins. Do you want to say anything about it before we play part of that interview that you had with D-Hop?
No, I mean, it was great. It was a really cool opportunity. I thought the football camp was an awesome idea from D-Hop in general. When I talked to him, and we'll probably hear a little bit of that, but he just kind of looked and said, hey, there's not really a camp in the market right now. And he knows how cool those can be, how awesome those opportunities can be for kids. It was something he always wanted to do when he was a kid and maybe didn't have the chance to do. So trying to give kids an opportunity he didn't have. And the fact that it was at Nissan Stadium, which then, because of rain, ended up being in the Titans bubble at the practice facility, which is also cool. Like, you're playing and practicing where the Titans play and practice. You're meeting DeAndre Hopkins, Calvin Ridley, Mason Rudolph, Otis Reese, a handful of Titans players.
Tajay showed up.
Did Tajay? Yeah, so Tajay Spears as well. A handful of guys that were just in the building. An awesome call by D-Hop to put on this event, and great talking to him. He's a fun interview when he's wanting to be a fun interview. And so I thought we had a lot of fun.
Yeah, outside of the press conference podium, D-Hop, really fun guy. So here's an excerpt from Sam's chat with DeAndre Hopkins from Sunday.
All right, Titans fans, Sam Phelan of A to Z Sports. I'm here with future Hall of Fame wide receiver, Tennessee Titans wide receiver, DeAndre Hopkins. We are at the DeAndre Hopkins Youth Football Camp here at Nissan Stadium. DeAndre, I'll let you kick it off here and just talk to me about this event, why this was something that you really wanted to do with the Nashville community and something that's important to you.
Nashville's, welcomed me with open arms. I knew coming here, I wanted to do something for this community. Took time. I want to thank the Titans for allowing us to use the Nissan Stadium today and just get these kids the experience, that they don't get often. I asked around when I got here, how many camps do they hold here? I didn't hear about many, so I was like, I have to do something here, and so I'm thankful.
Did you go to camps growing up? Like, was this part of your football origin story?
It wasn't.
No?
And so I always wanted to do something that I didn't have the chance to do.
Yeah.
I went to one camp as a junior in high school, and that was Under Armour camp. And after that, I really didn't get the opportunity. I stayed in Clemson, so, it wasn't many camps going on besides Clemson University, and we couldn't afford the Clemson University camps.
Young DeAndre Hopkins gets to pick a dream NFL player to host a camp just like this one. Who would he want to host a camp?
I would have to go with Calvin Johnson.
Calvin, okay, yeah. Little Megatron?
Yeah, Megatron. He's the GOAT. He's one of my favorite players. So the kids might not know who he is, but they can watch his highlights and they'll figure it out fast.
I want to pivot a little bit to this team that's getting going here in a week. Here's some Tennessee Titans regular season action 1 week from today.
Yep.
Year and a couple months ago, you were on I Am Athlete with Brandon Marshall, and you said, my next home, my next team, I want 3 things. I want stable management upstairs. I want a quarterback that loves the game and propels the people around him. And I want a really good defense. After what you've seen from Ran Carthon, what you've seen from Will Levis and his development as a rookie to his second year, and now all the dogs that they're bringing into this defense in Tennessee, is it safe to say that they've got all 3 here in Nashville?
On paper, of course, but we got to go out there and put it together. I think every team right now feels like they have the best this, best that, whatnot. So, it's the NFL. And every Sunday you got to strap it up. Underdog, overdog, whatever that means, it's the NFL. So, of course, I said that, and I feel like Rand has done a great job of what he's done with this organization, and I'm thankful to be here.
You're a guy who prides yourself on as many quarterbacks as you played with in your career. So you're familiar with this whole new pieces coming and gelling together. So how does that benefit you, and how can you benefit the Titans with your experience of being able to just, get on the same page with the guy, put it together?
I play a lot of football with a lot of different quarterbacks, like you said. It takes patience.
Yeah.
It takes communication, and that's something I feel like I can help some of the younger wide receivers, Tyler Boyd, Calvin Ridley. Those guys are great, but they haven't went through many changes like I have, and so I'm here for any questions. Tyler obviously has been in this offense; he's helping me and everyone else, but not just those guys, but players around who's dealing with a new coaching change.
So there's D-Hop, and you can get the full interview with Sam on our YouTube channel right there, A to Z Sports Nashville. But Sam, what do you think of chatting with D-Hop for about 5 good minutes there?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, D-Hop, interesting guy, really, really interesting guy. One of the cooler guys, I would say, man. He's just cool. He walks into a room, he commands a room, commands a lot of attention. But getting to talk with him kind of about his football origin story, and later on in the interview, everybody go check it out on YouTube. We get to joke a little bit about D-Hop's personality off the field in Nashville and all the fun things that he's doing inside the Nashville community, and maybe what could be coming from D-Hop in the future, embracing his Nashville, his love for Nashville, his Southern roots, all of that stuff. So, I mean, it was great. I think, I've said this time and time again now, but I think DeAndre Hopkins has lived up to expectations of him in his time with the Titans, and then some, exceeded them on the field and off the field. His numbers last year probably don't do justice to the type of player he was. We all those of us that watch the team understand what that offense was, how difficult it was to be productive in that offense. But Will Levis's debut, D-Hop goes for 3 touchdowns and has this explosive day in Nissan Stadium. It feels like he's always answered the bell, embraced the Nashville community, done a lot of really cool things. So you can mark me down as a big fan of D-Hop. I've really enjoyed covering him. I think Titans fans everywhere have really enjoyed having D-Hop in the city, and extend the man. I'm all for it. Rand, get it done. Like, Brand, why is D-Hop not a Titan for the foreseeable future? As good of a fit as it seems to be.
We'll see what happens. Jerry in the chat saying that he saw us there. Yep, saw Jerry and his kids who went to the camp. And so I think the other thing about DeAndre Hopkins is it was a terrible weather day. It never rained in August, and so it rained everything that August was supposed to get on September 1st, and it all hit Nissan Stadium. And so the kids were in the concourse for like 2 hours as D-Hop was trying to pivot and not just saying, whatever, we can go move on with our days, right?
Yeah.
No, he gave the kids a great camp experience by getting a hold of Rand Carthon and getting the bubble facility open, and then taking 300 kids and their parents from Nissan Stadium downtown out to the bubble at Metro Center, which I just think it was really impressive because DeAndre Hopkins didn't have to do that. But the fact that he did, and he spent extra time, more of his hours on his only off weekend until Valentine's Day, that I think that is really impressive from anybody. But DeAndre Hopkins, a superstar going the extra mile, I think needs to be recognized.
Yeah, Jerry says he was there. He said he saw me in the Titans locker room, and notes D-Hop did everything he could to make sure it still happened. Like you said, it's easy. Rain comes down, weather's bad, to just be like, oh, hey, we'll do a meet and greet and get everybody out of here. Like, he did the meet and greet. He signed 1 million autographs. He went and took time to do a Q&A with the kids, all while organizing everybody to get to the bubble. And he's calling Rand Carthon and having Rand Carthon approve the fact that he can have 300 people in the Titans practice bubble just so that he could still give these kids a chance to play some football and go through some camp. So yeah, full kudos to D-Hop. And it was a cool thing to be at. It was a cool thing to see some of. When was that? Yesterday? Was Sunday? I don't even remember. Yeah, my days, man. We're almost back to the point of the year where I remember what day of the week it is every day, because
we're getting closer.
Yeah,
we're getting closer.
That's when we go, baby.
Well, let's hear Brian Callahan, the Titans head coach, talking about Will Levis. Then we'll get your thoughts on what you think the Titans' biggest advantage over the Bears in week 1. But first, got to tell you guys about our new partners, our new friends, and that is T-Dot with Nobody Trashes Tennessee. Be part of the solution to end littering and make sure nobody trashes Tennessee. Did you know there's over 88 million pieces of litter on our Tennessee roadways? You can join thousands of Tennesseans to be part of the solution to end that littering. Head to nobodytrashestennessee.com to get involved. T-Dot spends more than $23 million a year picking up that litter, but they can't do it alone. So once again, with T-Dot, we're excited about this. We're going to do some potential litter cleanups here in the fall once we find that right timing with the Titans season as well. And so we want to recruit you guys to make sure that nobody trashes Tennessee, including on game day. So go see nobodytrashestennessee.com and be a part of the solution with T-Dot and A to Z Sports. Nobodytrashestennessee.com.
Today's show powered by BetMGM. BetMGM is the sports book born in Vegas. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports when you sign up with BetMGM. Get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets in the form of a bonus bet. If your first bet misses, it's a second chance to win big. You place your first wager with the bonus code ATOZ Sports. And even if you lose, up to $1,500, whatever your wager amount is back into the account, a chance to win big. That's why BetMGM is the go-to this NFL season. The sportsbook born in Vegas, BetMGM.com.
All right, Sam, let's go ahead and hear from Brian Callahan. But we're going to ask you guys now. We'll go ahead and throw this in the chat. What's the Titans' biggest advantage over the Bears in week one? What's the Titans' biggest advantage over the Bears in week one? We'll get to all of your comments, but here's Brian Callahan on his quarterback, Will Levis, going into the first regular season week.
How excited are you just to kind of see what this product looks like, and with Will at the controls kind of running the offense?
I can't wait. That's that part. I can't wait to see what our team is. You know, I think we've had glimpses of what I think we're capable of over the course of training camp in the preseason. And again, we haven't faced a starting NFL defense yet, and that's okay, other than our own and a little bit of Seattle. But I do think that that's the part that I'm looking forward to, is to see what we are. And that's the exciting part about every season, is you get a chance to learn. Your team's going to grow, it's going to change, and that's the fun process. That's the journey part of it that I enjoy the most. And we got ourselves a journey ahead of us, there's no doubt.
Austin, I think this is a really fun game, and I can kind of get into what I alluded to sort of at the start of the show. The reason I'm excited for this matchup, or I think it's at least an intriguing matchup league-wide, it might not get a bunch of national attention. The only reason it would get national attention is, it's Caleb Williams' debut. People want to see how he looks. Mm-hmm. But the Bears and Titans might have been the two most active, or at least they're probably two of the most active teams this past offseason in terms of new bodies, the amount of change that the organization underwent from coaching staff to the impact players on the field. You know, these are two teams with expectations that we don't really know what the expectations should be. Like, right. Excited fan bases that are also tempered and understanding a lot needs to go right here. And two teams that, by the way, went undefeated in the preseason. Like, the Bears and Titans are both going into the regular season feeling really good about this new era of their football team. And I find it very interesting because as much as we talk about the Titans and say, hey, what does this team look like? Like Brian Callahan said, saying, I'm excited to see our football team and what Will Levis looks like throwing to Calvin Ridley and DeAndre Hopkins in a game, and what our defense looks like with L'Jarius Sneed and Chidobe Awuzie on the field and all 11 playing together. The Bears have a similar attitude, right? Like, what is Caleb Williams going to look like? They've made a lot of changes to their defense as well and brought in a lot of pieces. So they have a new offensive coordinator in Chicago, a new play caller. What is it going to look like is the question coming into the game. And I think whoever comes out of this game on top, is going to be riding quite the high headed into week two. And as Brian Callahan says, as good as it feels to be in the Titans position right now, he can't wait to see just what the baseline of this team is. Like, do they beat the Bears by 2 scores? And then you're like, oh, we have an awesome football team. Do they lose by 2 scores and go, okay, we need to make some corrections in a couple of places? It can go a lot of different ways.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's completely wide open. And so let's go ahead, because I don't want to give away what my answer to the question is, but we asked the question in the chat. What's the Titans' biggest advantage over the Bears to get a win in week one? What's the Titans' biggest advantage over the Bears going into week one? Sam, I'll let you start in the chat on Facebook, on YouTube. Again, we need more people to like the show. It's game week. We got to get that game week energy going. So lock in, like the show, as King VC says. Again, thanks for the super chat earlier in the show. But hit that like button on Facebook and YouTube. So Sam, what are you seeing from the Titans' biggest advantage over the Bears in week one?
All right, we got Vanessa says it's the defense. Ira Hoshi also says it's just the defense. Daniel says the Bears pass rush is weak. Montez Sweat's their only real pass rusher. Joshua believes the secondary. Jay says it's QB experience. Jojo also says experience. Big Jeff and Sweat is what Curtis says. Interior D-line is what Titans Kyle says as well. Defense, big time. Defense is such a blanket statement, I feel like here. I don't know exactly what that means with Titans advantage just being defense. Does that mean their defense versus the Bears offense? Does that mean the Titans defense is better than the Bears defense? I'm curious to see what those people in the chat think. Rookie QB for the Bears, certainly a popular talking point. Luke is on that same page as well, says getting Caleb Williams in week 1 is a big advantage for the Titans. Adam thinks they have a quarterback advantage. Tony says the defense. Troy says experience. I think those are the most popular answers here. Defensive ability to get takeaways, defense. Our quarterback has some experience. NFL starts for the QB, defense from Pistol Ramsey. So those, the two most popular answers from the chat, Austin.
Yeah.
Titans defense and the experience at the quarterback position, which is not much. Will Levis has played 9 games in his career, but it is not his debut, which will always be a factor.
So my specific answer is going to be the unpredictability of the Titans defense, because we have not seen, I think at most, Jack Gibbons is going to start at inside linebacker week 1, at least according to the depth chart that we got in our emails over the last day or two, until Ernest Jones IV can get comfortable and get
he will play in the game though.
Yeah, he will. But like Jack Gibbons is listed as a starter of the depth chart for what that's worth. But I think if we know that Ernest Jones will eventually replace Jack Gibbons as the starter next to Kenneth Murray, what's the most amount of the 11 Titans starting defense we've seen on the field at the same time throughout like opening of training camp, July 24th through now?
So
8?
including Gibbons or
including Ernest Jones? Let's just say including Ernest Jones, because that's another piece.
I don't even think it's 8. I mean,
7, because Quandre Diggs, right?
Maybe it is. I mean, it's 7 or 8 because we've seen Diggs out there with Hooker. We've seen Sweat, Jeff, Landry.
Well, let's take that back. Landry was a late joining camp because he was sick. Well, and by the time Landry got there, Cheeto was hurt.
Well, right. That's what I'm saying is I think the group that you've seen play together is that defensive front, Key, Landry, Sweat, and Simmons, with your 2 backers, Gibbons and Murray, and your 2 safeties, Hooker and Diggs, and maybe McCreary. I don't know if that 9 has all been out there at the same time, but like we've seen those guys all in camp at the same time. So you have seen a chunk of it together, but even in those practices, you're missing key rotational guys. Like, all right, Jamal Adams isn't out there. Well, Ernest Jones hasn't played actually in those. So it is 8 ultimately.
Snead hasn't done anything.
Snead hasn't been out there. Cheeto hasn't been out there. Ernest Jones hasn't played with that starting group. So 8 at the max, I would say, maybe 7.
Yeah, I think, and that's where I truly don't know what Denard Wilson's going to do with these pieces and how much. I mean, the whole plan is that you have L'Jarius Sneed and Cheeto on the outside being physical to allow Denard to be more aggressive in the front and send different packages. You're not investing high in edge rushers outside of Harold Landry. And so you're going to do it from a bunch of different ways. You're going to be blitzing Murray, blitzing Ernest Jones and Jamal Adams too, because you've got the physicality and the versatile veteran corners on the outside. And I watched the Seahawks joint practices, and DK Metcalf was doing everything he wanted to, but that was against the 2 guys who were starters during training camp that are both on the practice squad. Neither of those guys made the team in Trey Avery and Gabe Jeudy-Lally. And so you're talking about the Bears of having Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, and Rome Odunze, the rookie high draft pick. But now you've got 3 corners who've got really good experience and have different skill sets that I think are going to be a perfect challenge for the veteran wide receivers the Bears have. The Titans have the veteran corners to counter it. So that's my biggest advantage the Bears have, is the unpredictability of what the defense is going to throw at them.
Okay, so your answer is the corners or the unpredictability?
The unpredictability. And the corners go into that because we haven't seen them, and neither of the Bears.
Yeah, I mean, I think Denard Wilson's defense is all about that unpredictability, that aggression. My worry with it, Austin, is the weapons that the Bears have. And Caleb Williams has shown in the preseason a little bit the ability to improvise enough to get the ball out. It'll be a big test for Shane Waldron, I think, as the Bears offensive coordinator, of like how much, like, can you identify when Denard's bringing the house, when Denard's bringing pressure, and get the ball out quick. You know, there could be big plays for the Bears on offense that result from the Titans bringing a lot of pressure, right? Because you've got DJ Moore, who excels as a guy that you just get the ball out quickly to, as a yak threat, basically. You've got two good receiving running backs, but one really good one, especially in DeAndre Swift, who you could, dump the ball off to and let him run. That would be my only fear with bringing a ton of pressure at Caleb Williams. Like, you need to get creative with it. You need to disguise it well. You cannot just pin your ears back and go get him, because with the number of weapons the Bears have, there will probably be opportunities for Caleb to get the ball out quickly. And if he does, now you've, put yourself in a position to give up big chunk plays as a result of it.
Well,
but I do think it is a, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was jumping into that point about how you get after Caleb Williams. If you remember going back to, I think it was week 3 last season of the Titans at Cleveland, they got all after Deshaun Watson, but they couldn't finish it. And then they allowed Deshaun Watson to make a few plays and beat them. And so Caleb Williams, the same elusiveness, probably better than Deshaun Watson. And so can you finish? Can you stay in your rush lanes and be a fishing net around Caleb Williams and not just be a spear, right?
Yeah, I mean, you see this with quarterbacks, mobile, elusive, improvising quarterbacks across the league. If a guy escapes pressure when you're bringing pressure, usually there's an explosive play on the other end of it, because you cannot simply cover everybody while also bringing half your defense, on a blitz. If a guy escapes that pressure, you leave yourself vulnerable to a big play. So I do think there's a risk in that. I would say, to me, Austin, I would redefine what you said. To me, that is not the Titans' biggest advantage.
Okay.
I think it could be the Titans' biggest key, though. I think the ability to be unpredictable against Caleb Williams, to have Caleb rattled, a little off balance, have the Bears not really know what sort of pressure is coming, to speed up what the Bears are trying to do offensively. That's how the Titans win the game. But I don't know if it's as much of like a guarantee or matchup problem as you might make it out to be. I do think you're close, because my answer is one that the chat was on as well.
Okay.
And for me, the Titans' advantage over the Bears is very clearly the interior defensive line going against the Bears' interior offensive line. You've got Nate Davis, old friend alert, who has been missing practices, doing classic Nate Davis stuff throughout all of training camp, scheduled to start for the Bears at right guard. And he's been okay when he's played. You don't know if he'll even be out there. Tevin Jenkins is the left guard, who has been very good, is a breakout candidate, but cannot stay on the field. The injury problems for Tevin Jenkins have basically ruined his entire NFL career up to this point. And he is still like questionable and a toss-up for the game. And we haven't really seen him play with the Bears starting unit. You had a center position battle between Ryan Bates and Coleman Shelton. Coleman Shelton, former Rams starting center, won that, but it's a new center. The interior offensive line for the Bears is kind of a hodgepodge of guys that they've thrown together. And you're getting Tavondre Sweat and Jeffrey Simmons week 1. That is a huge, huge, huge advantage that I look positionally. Where do the Titans match up best? I think that's their best matchup, and that's going to be something they have to exploit to win this football game. Is you're going to have to go and get the Bears up front.
Well, and I agree. And to the point of kind of blending our points together, we haven't seen in real live game action Jeffrey Simmons and Tavondre Sweat next to each other. We saw it for a couple of 11-on-11 series against the Seahawks. And newsflash, outside of Geno Smith throwing a DK Metcalf, the Seahawks really didn't do much against the Titans defense in those joint practices because you had Jeff and Sweat control the line of scrimmage with the other friends up front. And so I think, and we saw the exact consequences on only being able to double one of those two guys. Yeah, I don't know about you, but if I'm an NFL team, I'm still doubling Jeffrey Simmons right now, and I'm letting Tavondre Sweat prove it to me over and over and over. I'm not, but again, still that's single for Harold, that's single for Arden Key, that's Jamal Adams, Kenneth Murray, Ernest Jones blitzing, Jack Gibbons blitzing. There's a lot of one-on-one matchups the Titans are going to have just because they have 670 pounds of just freaks next to each other between those two guys, and not including Sebastian Joseph Day, that I think is going to be a benefactor of Sweat and Simmons too this season.
Yeah, I think, that is ultimately probably the Titans' strongest position group is the defensive line, the interior defensive line more specifically. And maybe the biggest question mark of the entire Bears team right now is that interior offensive line. So that's how you win games, right? Like the way you win games and the way that you take advantage of your matchups is by exploiting what you do well and what your opponent does not do well. So the same way that there's this energy around the Titans defense of, well, we haven't seen it all together. The Bears really haven't seen their offensive line together yet. Mm-hmm. Maybe a practice here or there, but they didn't really have the full starting group out there for any of the preseason games. And that's a big question mark. So, Jeffrey Simmons, Harold Landry, they're going to have to make some plays. And if they can, you can disrupt this Bears offense enough to come out of Chicago with a win.
Yep, A to Z Sports here live on this Tuesday. It's not a Monday, but it is a Tuesday. Game week is upon us. We also have an announcement we're going to make here in about an hour and a half-ish. I'll tell you more about that here in a second. We'll also flip it. We've been talking about Titans' advantage over the Bears. We'll hear from Brian Callahan about the Bears and what they do really, really well that he's excited to see. But first, Farm Bureau Health Plans is where you should turn for all of your health coverage needs. They've been serving Tennesseans for 78 years across the entire state, and they will help you out regardless of what your situation is. Farm Bureau Health Plans will customize the right health coverage for you, what you need for however many people you need it for. If you have a young growing family, maybe your family's empty nested, you and your spouse are just trying to find that next level of coverage that you need in life, or maybe you're out there on your own, independent contractor, entrepreneur, you're having to go to the marketplace and having to pay way too much for your health coverage. Well, you can lower your health coverage rate by getting better coverage with Farm Bureau Health Plan. Zach Bingham did that a few years ago, saved 20% and didn't have to pay out of pocket to go to the dentist, didn't have to pay out of pocket to get his contacts with his vision coverage as well. You can do all of that by visiting our link, fbhp.com/ATOZ. Be a part of the Farm Bureau Health Plans family. Once again, our link, fbhp.com/ATOZ.
BetMGM is the sportsbook born in Vegas. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports when you sign up with BetMGM for a bonus bet up to $1,500 if your first bet misses. Whatever your first wager amount is, if your first bet loses on BetMGM and you use that bonus code, that money goes back into your account in the form of a bonus bet for a second chance to win big. This NFL season, college football season, make sure you're betting with the sportsbook born in Vegas. BetMGM and BetMGM.com.
Bork says an hour and a half. How long is this show going to be today? No. The announcement will not be live
after the show.
After the show. So make sure you're staying tuned to our Twitter account at A to Z Sports. We've got announcements and news in back-to-back days. So we've got one coming a little bit after the show today. We'll react to it fully with you guys tomorrow morning. And then Wednesday, midday, we've got something else that's going to happen that we'll react to on Thursday. And then we've got something else later in the week. Zach's coming back too, and we're getting right here leading up to game week before we have our season kickoff and get into a lot of it. So that's an announcement on our A to Z Twitter account. So be ready for that around 10 o'clock a.m. Central Time, hour and a half away from right now. But the show will be over well before then because Sam and I got things to do. So let's dive into Brian Callahan, who I thought had a really good press conference yesterday to kick off game week, but he was here talking about preparing for the Bears because a lot of unknown about the Titans. The same can be said about the Chicago Bears as well.
A lot of momentum for them. Obviously got a lot of really exciting players there. I'm a huge fan of Caleb Williams and what he did at USC. I've watched him over the years, and really dynamic player. Really fun as a fan of quarterbacks to watch him play. But then they've added a bunch of weapons. I mean, they got Keenan Allen's been doing this for a long time. He's still able to get open at a relatively high rate these days, and obviously with DJ Moore and then drafting Rome Odunze, they've got some real players on offense and ability to score a lot of points. They got good backs. They got good tight end. I mean, it's a much improved football team. And on defense, again, just what they did last year to close the season out was incredibly impressive. So I think they're going to be a really good football team this year. I think we got our work cut out for us. It's going to be a tough test on the road. And so we're going to need everybody and everything to muster up enough to go give these guys a game. So they're really good, and I'm excited to go play them.
Brian Callahan on the Bears, big Caleb Williams guy, big fan of their additions. What's your reaction to that, Austin?
Well, Brian Callahan on the record, really liked Will Levis coming out of college last year, and also said he had Peter Skoronski as a left guard, and now he's also saying that he was a big fan of Caleb Williams coming out in the draft too, but obviously not a situation where he could work with Caleb Williams. Probably, I don't know if that'll ever happen for Brian Callahan. But look, I do think I like when coaches admit, like, yeah, I'm a fan of watching that guy play. I like watching that guy go out there and do his thing as a fan of the quarterback position. Sam, I want to, have you lick your finger, test the wind up there in the Windy City. What is the feel of the fan base surrounding Caleb Williams going into this season, just from Bears fans?
Feel how?
What is their level of hype? I mean, like how bought in, just all the way in?
Yeah. I mean, he's the guy. He's the answer to the problems. The Bears fandom is buying all of the Caleb Williams stock and then some. I will say, right, like for Bears fans as a whole, everybody was trying to talk themselves into Mitch Trubisky. When it happened, people didn't love the pick, tried to talk themselves into it. They had some successful years with Mitch at quarterback where they made the playoffs, and then it obviously didn't work out. Justin Fields was slightly different because I think the level of hype around Fields actually was greater than what it was for Mitch, just because of what everybody had seen from him as a runner and an improviser at Ohio State, and how much more skilled he looked as a quarterback than Trubisky did at college. I think Caleb Williams far surpasses both of them. And I think Bears fans would tell you genuinely that it feels a little bit different with Caleb. Like when you watched Justin Fields or you watched Mitch Trubisky play early on, you were kind of looking for the bright spots and being like, oh, they can maybe do this. Yeah. Right. Watching Caleb Williams play in the preseason, I think brought over the last bit of Bears fans that maybe weren't in on Caleb all the way, because they've started to see he makes it look easier. He just makes it look easy. And it feels like, who knows what his ceiling is going to be. You've got a guy that you can rely on to be probably, when it's all said and done, the best quarterback the Bears have ever had. And I know that's a high bar, and Bears fans know it's a high bar. And
Is it a high bar?
Well, I mean, it's not a high bar.
Statistically, it's not, maybe.
Statistically, it's not. But anytime it's a rookie quarterback, you don't want to put this expectation on him of like, hey, you got to be the best in our franchise's history. But I think a lot of NFL people across the board watched Caleb and said, all right, this kid's legit. Now can we put the pieces around him to not mess it up? Because the Bears are also an organization who have done a lot of things to mess it up in the past.
And it's not just the fact that they put DeAndre Swift and Rome Odunze and Keenan Allen to go along with DJ Moore and Cole Kmet around him, right? It's what they've also got on defense. And the Bears have been bad, right, for a while. And kind of in this flux with Justin Fields and trading and getting draft picks and draft capital and good players to be a part of it, because Brian Callahan knows that the Bears defense is going to be a problem too.
What challenge does the Bears pass rush present, especially out on the edges with JC and Nick?
Yeah, they're really good. It's a good. We got young tackles that have played. Obviously, JC's not played yet, and Nick's played just a little bit. Yeah, we got our hands full. That'll be a challenge. That's a really good front. I know just from the past of the types of defenses that Coach Eberflus has been a part of. I know their D-line coach personally very well. I know how he coaches. I know what they want from that group, and it's a hard playing, talented. Challenging group to go play against. And then you add the two linebackers in there who I think are probably as good as two interior inside linebackers in football, and you got a pretty good front to deal with. So yeah, they're a good football team, and I think the hype and the excitement around that team is real. I think because of those things, and the growth that they've shown there over their tenure has been really impressive. So yeah, we got our hands full both up front and in the secondary.
I think, Austin, this to me is the most underrated part of the Bears team, which is just how good this defense is. Matt Eberflus has been calling the defense for 2 years now, but really once he fully took over play calling duties in the middle of the season last year, they fired defensive coordinator Alan Williams for some off the field stuff. Matt Eberflus took over the defense entirely. They traded for Montez Sweat, and for the back half of the year, the Bears were a top 5 defense in the NFL in turnovers, in sacks, and in points allowed. So that defensive group got a little bit stronger even over the course of the offseason. They added Kevin Byard, old friend, replaced Eddie Jackson with Kevin Byard. They've got 3 really good cornerbacks in Tyreek Stevenson, Kyler Gordon in the nickel, and Jalen Johnson, one of the best in the sport on the outside. Brian Callahan brings up linebackers, TJ Edwards and Tremaine Edmonds as well. This is an underrated defense, and with a really smart defensive-minded head coach, will present a challenge to a lot of teams. So I think that is probably the area that the Bears are the most underrated coming into the year. But Brian Callahan certainly in that video giving some respect to that Bears defense and knowing that it's going to be a challenge for his offense.
Yeah, without a doubt. Real quick, super chat. Amnesia says national media has Caleb Williams as a better than Tom Brady. I don't think that's the situation.
Don't believe that's accurate, Amnesia.
I mean, but again, like Caleb Williams was a more coveted prospect than Tom Brady. I think that's the most objective thing you could possibly say because they were separated by 198 draft picks.
I do believe, and you can probably have a better read on this than I do because of my roots, but I do believe Caleb Williams has over time kind of started to dispel a lot of the narratives about him. I felt like coming out of USC, there was all this, he's a diva, he's all this stuff. I remember talking to you, Austin, after the NFL Combine. I've just been like, I sat in on Caleb Williams' presser. I thought he was awesome. Like, I thought he was great and very charming and way nicer than I think I expected him. And a lot of people expected him to be. And as you've seen him on Hard Knocks and seen him in different interviews, I think a few more people are coming in being like, oh yeah, this guy's, he's not.
I think he got like I think he got a very like privileged and entitled label.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's what really was painted across him because you go to Oklahoma, you upseat Spencer Rattler. He transfers out to South Carolina. You're the guy at Oklahoma, but then your coach leaves, so you go with him to USC, and you're staying in this LA penthouse as the quarterback of USC. You're putting up a bunch of numbers, but your team's not winning. You're crying and super emotional after you're losing games. Your dad is a little bit dad talking about like potential part ownership of whoever drafted him, which is just entitlement. And so there's a lot of the pampered LA style, I think is what he got painted with. And now he's in Chicago. And I feel like it's kind of, I agree with you. I feel like some of those narratives have kind of been brushed away.
Yeah. And I mean, like a lot of people were worried, is he overrated? Is he whatever, like coming in? And I think, the preseason watching him play, there's been a lot of people who watch it and say, yeah, this guy's legit. He's going to be a good NFL quarterback. And so, I do believe that there is a level of hype around Caleb Williams coming in for those reasons that people kind of are starting to see, hey, he's looking pretty good, looking as advertised. But I don't think the national media is like, he's Tom Brady. He's better than Tom Brady. I think that's ridiculous. So.
No, better prospect than Brady coming out of college. For sure. All right, so let's ask this question. We asked it about the Titans. Let's flip it and ask it about the Bears. Where do the Bears have their biggest advantage on the Titans in week 1? where the Bears have their biggest advantage over the Titans in week 1. I saw Amnesia drop another super chat, so we'll get to that as well. But first, the Bone and Joint Institute is where you should turn for all of your injury needs. If you get hurt in life, which happens just like it does in football, you have to know where the experts are and the people that you can trust to get back on the road to recovery and not let that injury linger and stop you from doing what you want to in life. I've had a few injuries in the last several years, whether it was my knee tendonitis earlier this spring, my plantar fasciitis 2 years ago, or 4 years ago. My shoulder was acting up on me from an old injury, right? Like an injury of 15 years ago was flaring up on me as I got into my 30s. The Bone and Joint Institute helped me out with all of them. They educated me on how to rehab those injuries at home so I don't have to go back in the doctor's office every so often to get it taken care of. And so they can do the same thing for you. They've got all the resources and the experts under one roof in Franklin off I-65 and Highway 96. And you can check them out across Williamson County with more physical therapy centers too, or online to book an appointment, boneandjointtn.org.
BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports. And when you use that bonus code, if your first bet misses, that amount goes back into your account. Your wager amount goes back into your account in the form of a bonus bet up to $1,500 with BetMGM. So that's the bonus code ATOZ Sports before you place your first wager on BetMGM and BetMGM.com, the sportsbook born in Vegas.
Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 or older. Tennessee only new customer offer. All promotions subject to qualification and other requirements. First online real money wager. Only rewards issued not with bonus bets that expire 7 days. And for problem games, support, call Tennessee Redline 800-889-9789. Man, long weekends. And when I don't do that for about like 4 or 5 days in a row, it really gets me the next time. But Sam, to the chat you go here with the question, where do the Bears have their biggest advantage over the Titans in week 1? What are you seeing from the chat here?
I'm gonna challenge the chat to come back with the answers because unfortunately we have like a debate going on in the chat between Bears fans and Titans fans.
Yeah, I did see there's like 1 or 2 Bears fans in there that are
and so there's a couple Bears fans asking, well, where are the Titans better than the Bears? And so some of the Titans fans are coming back with position groups and it's getting a little thrown off. Corey brings up home field as the big advantage that the Bears have. How much do you expect home field to be a factor here in this game, Austin?
Pretty solid. Like I think so. There's part of me that feels like in Caleb Williams' situation, he has more pressure on him by having his NFL debut.
You've said that before.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if I agree with.
I think, I like away games. Like I prefer to play away. Like I think it's just something where you kind of have that extra juice going for you to shut the people up that are against you, where there's some potential pressure to have the home fans. Like if Caleb Williams throws a pick or gets sacked or has a bad, you start to hear the doubts kind of creep in the crowd. And maybe this is just because I've watched both the Tennessee Titans and the Tennessee Volunteers have piss poor quarterback play for a long time, to where the crowd quickly turns against that bad quarterback play. Like last night, Florida State. I'm sure we'll get to some shade and people will throw shade on Florida State. DJU probably started to get it into his head as he's missing wide open receivers down the field, because that Florida State crowd that already is pissed off from Ireland the week before is starting to whisper to their guy next to him, like, they got to bench him. They got to bench him. And now all of a sudden DJU starts to tailspin. And so that's just one aspect. But I think in this situation, I think home field will be against the Titans because of how juiced up the Bears fan base is for Caleb Williams and this Bears team.
That's interesting. I mean, I'm curious. I do believe like the hostile environment, a loud environment works against a rookie quarterback. And Caleb will have the advantage of not having to fight against crowd noise when he's on offense. But maybe there is a little bit of pressure to it as well of like, hey, don't mess this up. You're at Soldier Field for your debut. Yuri thinks the Bears' biggest advantage is at tight ends. Let's see. They have nothing to lose from John McDaniels. Jeffrey says edge rushers, which I think is interesting because it's kind of a weakness of the Bears team. Montez Sweat is a beast, but that second edge rusher is a bit of a question mark. It's why they've gone out and they traded for Darrell Taylor from the Seattle Seahawks to try and add a second edge. Caleb Williams' versatility and home field advantage. Let's see. We've got Cole Kmet is their biggest advantage from Landon, somebody else who also believes in the tight end play in Chicago. We've got, wow, not a lot of people commenting, ironically, Austin. Nobody really was commenting any Bears advantages.
Yeah, well, you're asking Titans fans to give what the other team that they're not as familiar with. And
yeah,
so
I mean, MP, a Bears fan, comes in and says the whole offense. And so that is generally where I go. I won't go as far as to say the entire offense, but Austin, for me, the Bears' big advantage is those skill players on offense. It's the fact that as you can be an awesome secondary, which the Titans probably will have a very good secondary, but this group hasn't played together. The secondary hasn't played together, and you're getting Rome Odunze, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, DeAndre Swift in your first game. And so as good as you could be, that group of wide receivers and skill players is so dangerous and so explosive that it is going to be very difficult to contain. Is it possible? Sure. Denard Wilson, I put nothing past Denard Wilson. I think he's very capable of really locking up this Bears team. Brian asks, who is the Bears offensive coordinator? That's Shane Waldron, formerly the offensive coordinator of the Seattle Seahawks. Don't forget Gerald Everett, who is, again, the second tight end for the Bears. Gerald Everett, who has experience with Shane Waldron from Seattle, who's been used in their passing game a lot. Two backs, even like the fourth, fifth receiver could have impact in like guys like Tyler Scott. So it's the skill positions on offense for me that I think will spell trouble for the Titans if they're not on their P's and Q's.
Well, I think that's it's funny because I agree. And it's not just the fact that they have like 2 or 3 really good receivers. It's the depth of skill players, kind of like the Titans have. But, and I see Carpet King, I think it was Carpet King. Yeah, said, did you forget about Snead and Cheeto Awuzie? I mean, of course, and that was my advantage for the Titans, was the unpredictability of having the Titans starting defense out there. But guys, L'Jarius Snead, fringe top 5 corner in the league. That's not the point, right? Really damn good corner in the NFL. He's going to give up receptions because that's the nature of his
that's the thing that we have to remember here
it's
too, cornerback is a losing position. Yeah, it is a position you are designed to lose. And the goal of a cornerback is lose less than the other guys lose. It's not possible to just come out here and be like, hey, we're not going to give up any receptions because we got a couple of good corners.
Sometimes that happens, but every NFL team, every fan base expects their quarterback to complete over 60% of their passes.
Yeah.
So think about what your expectations are for your corners. It's about not letting up big plays, not getting just beat off the line in key situations. And what can you do in the red zone? So yards will be gained on both sides.
Yep.
And Caleb Williams probably going to throw for 300. Guys, just buckle up. You paid Snead and Cheeto a bunch of money, and you brought in Quandre Diggs for not a lot of money, but you've got a lot of highly paid people in your secondary that have experience. He's going to throw for 300 yards. It's going to happen. So let's
add this too. I mean, Snead, Cheeto, even if Snead is locked down, right? Let's say Snead has himself a day and does not give up a reception to DJ Moore all game, and he's clamping DJ Moore. That's the thing about this Bears team that I think is their advantage in this game, is that they can just throw to Keenan Allen and Rome Odunze, right? L'Jarius Snead cannot cover 3 guys. Cheeto is a solid corner, but I don't think he's I wouldn't say he's an awesome corner. I think he's just a good, solid corner that complements Cheeto very well, or complements Snead very well. The one weakness of this team of the Titans defense that we have seen, Austin, is can their linebackers cover? Yeah. Can they cover across the middle? And you have a slot that's either going to be DJ Moore or Rome Odunze and a guy in Cole Kmet. So that's what I'm getting at here, is the fact that you have a lot of options if you are Caleb Williams to throw the ball and be very successful at it. So the way that you stop that, if you're the Titans, is the Titans' big advantage, which is those guys up front. It is the idea of bringing pressure and rattling Caleb Williams with pressure, specifically from the defensive interior line, stopping the run, collapsing the pocket, making the Bears go off schedule. That will be the key to the Titans winning the game. The Bears, how do you win the game? Well, you just find some of your skill guys. You keep throwing the ball. You always have somebody open, and your offense can't be stopped if you keep doing that. So it's two teams with two very different strengths and weaknesses. And this is, of course, the pendulum battle of any NFL game, is which strength proves to be stronger.
For sure. All right. Amnesia has another super chat. We have to, that's the rule. Show rules as we read the super chats, because you guys
we're getting into it.
Hey, yeah. All this Caleb Williams hype is crazy. He was good in the preseason, guys. Hell, even Malik Willis looked good in the preseason. Can we please stop acting like he's a proven quarterback? Like,
I'm throwing a flag.
Yeah, I'm throwing a flag as yellow as that super chat. And like Caleb Williams is the first overall draft pick, was the unanimous top prospect at the position, and for most people on the entire board of the NFL draft. And I think saying that he is, like, I don't say he's not proven, because that's not factually accurate. You can't say he's proven, but he's talented. He's got all the tools and the traits and the accomplishments in college to do it. USC didn't go 8-4 or whatever because Caleb Williams wasn't good. It's because their defense was duty, and they improved it a lot as they held LSU on Sunday night. But Caleb Williams is a good player. He is a really, really high-level quarterback prospect.
There is a difference between Caleb Williams is a good quarterback and going to be a very good quarterback in the league, and Caleb Williams is a proven quarterback. He has not proven anything at the NFL level, but from what we have seen, we can anticipate that he is going to be successful and be a very good, legitimate player. So those two things can coexist. We can sit here and compliment Caleb Williams the same way your head coach is sitting and complimenting Caleb Williams and what a big fan of him he is, while also recognizing this is a rookie quarterback making his NFL debut. Even CJ Stroud struggled mightily in his NFL debut in the regular season. And we all know how the rookie season for CJ Stroud ended up turning out. So is there a chance that the rookie debut of Caleb Williams and the Titans defense is able to just disrupt him enough where it looks wacky? Yes. And Caleb Williams could have a really bad game against the Titans. That's how the Titans can win in Chicago and steal one on the road. But I don't think that necessarily means Caleb Williams is going to have a bad season either, right? Like, this is another benefit. And so I do hear Titans fans who said this was the Titans' big advantage that you have. And we talked about this a couple weeks ago, Austin. Getting Caleb Williams in week 10 is much different than getting Caleb Williams in week 1. And getting Caleb Williams when he has no NFL experience is a more fortuitous spot for the Titans to be in than if they were getting him a little bit further down the line.
Yeah, and Ramon says Jamarcus Russell was too, Austin. Yeah, that was 2007, guys. Like the NFL is completely different. Jamarcus Russell was a physical freak, yes, but he had problems off the field that didn't allow him, and on the field that didn't allow him to flourish. And that was Al Davis trying to take a swing at the biggest, baddest prospect with all the physical traits, but not taking in other aspects of the game. And then Billy says, yeah, but Jameis Winston was number one overall too. Not every draft is created equal. Look at the 2022 quarterback class. Everybody's gone from the original team except for the last pick in the entire draft with Brock Purdy. And so, like, I think you can't do it like that. You cannot do it that's not how this works. Like I'm like the lady talking about her Facebook wall in the Geico commercial.
Dude, to me, it's just like make your own judgment. But watch the tape, make your own judgment. Watch Caleb Williams play. And if you come back and say Caleb Williams isn't going to be good based on watching him play, that's your prerogative to say that. I would disagree with you, but that's your prerogative. Don't bring up Jamarcus Russell as your reason for, well, you never know. Like it's different. And so that's all I have to say about that.
All right, Forrest. I got one more super chat. MP, I'll show love. I like this podcast. Bear down. So the Bears fan that's been spamming all of you guys and ruffling your feathers in the chat.
MP is definitely coming. This is like the morning activity. It's just kind of like, it's like 1 versus 100 or whatever, like the
Hey,
fight that you've got going on in the chat.
it is,
So.
but it's game week, right? Like the fact that there are opposing fans in our show is a good thing. That means we've made it. We've made it.
Well, I'm loving yes, that means we've made it to the regular season. It also means just the chat in general within the Titans fan base that I've seen. I brought up Rome Odunze. I got somebody being like, Rome's trash. And then a bunch of Titans fans are like,
7th.
Yeah. Well, then a bunch of Titans fans are like, wait, we wanted Rome. Rome's not trash. And then it's like, I'm just like, man, this is peak
also,
NFL fandom. We're in the middle of the regular season. And
guys saying the Titans' biggest advantage is because Kevin Byard's back there. Like, Kevin Byard's still a good player. Like, is he what he was in 2020, 2021? Probably not. But like, that's your guy too.
Yeah, I mean, I will stick up for because I'm just reading the chat as we come. I got to stick up for my Bears a little bit here, and like I think this is going to be a fun matchup. Let's also remember that the Bears won more games than the Titans last year. If you're a Titans fan right now, citing the 2023 Bears as your reason for why the 2024 Bears are going to be bad, number one, you didn't pay attention to their offseason. Number two, if we're going off of last year, the Bears won more games than the Titans.
Well,
remember that.
I'll say this, though. I'll remember this. Florida State won more games than Boston College and Georgia Tech did last year, too. But that doesn't matter.
Right.
Because it's completely different. It's in the same thing with the Titans. They're completely different. Like week one starters from a year ago for the Titans, there's maybe 4 or 5 they're out there, right? Arden Key, Harold Landry, Jeff, Amani, Skoronski, and D-Hop.
Yeah, you got a handful of guys that are coming back. It's a brand new Titans team. The Bears have less turnover, but you've got some key turnover. Quarterback, right? Like that,
sure.
And wide receivers, defensive line a little bit. Like there's some key changes to the Bears and a lot of changes to the Titans, which brings me back to my initial point, Austin, of, hey, this is a fun matchup for two teams because somebody's coming out of this game feeling really, really good about themselves. Somebody's coming out of this game questioning things a little bit, waiting to see how things go in week 2.
Yep. All right. Let's throw some shade to wrap up this Tuesday show. If you have shade you want to throw in the chat, do it now. We'll get to it here in a second. Throwing shade like we do every Tuesday. Wilson County Hyundai, make them a part of your new car buying process. See our friend Payne Bone and his team in Lebanon. Save some money on that car by going to Lebanon, not those downtown Nashville prices. Say hey to Payne Bone while you're out there, or check them out online, wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Sam, I'll let you scan the chat for some shade. We throw shade every Tuesday to wrap up the show. So if you've been away through the off season and you're back for the regular season, welcome back. You probably shouldn't have left the off season because it was a hell of a time. So if you see any shade in the chat, Sam, I'll let you go ahead and fly in there.
Thought we'd get a few of these here. We got a shade on MP from Daniel to kick it off for just being a Bears fan. So shade on MP for being a Bears fan from Daniel. I'm sure I'll get some shade in the chat as well.
For being born in Chicago.
For being a Chicago guy. Shade on Sam. Let's see what else we got here. Throwing shade at the Caleb hype train from Matt. Shade on Kyron Lacey. Not familiar with this situation.
Neither.
Maybe this is too controversial. Unless
I don't know the situation.
I have no idea what that is. So
yeah, same. We'll move on.
The shade on your shade from 3 months ago, Austin. Bad Gen Z movies are not made by Gen Z. They're made by out of touch millennials. What is he talking about here?
I threw shade on awful Gen Z movies that are like straight to streaming networks that my wife and I were stuck in between. Like we just finished watching one show and we don't have our next thing to watch. And so we just cycled through the most cringe-worthy like Gen Z.
Can you give an example of
the movie, or like I'll give you
name one cringe Gen Z.
I don't remember the names of the movies. But here's the plot: is high school drama happens, and one guy who's like the cool guy on campus is like the most Gen Z like weird dude, but he's like popular because he's this alter Gen Z guy. It's just weird drama and like doxing people on social media and like everything
in the movie.
Everything in the plot resolves like, oh, they posted this on TikTok and said this about that relationship. And it's just stupid. Like
That's
it's
on
just
you. That's shade on you for watching that.
no, I'm telling you, like, but hey, we're trying. It was like the top 10 in Netflix today. Well, let's give this a
Oh,
shot. No, this
okay,
sucks.
okay.
And
Dude, all right, I'm gonna introduce. They have these new thing on Netflix. It's called a trailer and or a description of the
but
movie.
do you not ever just say, let's watch this for the sake of it being bad?
I look at the trailer and description and no, if I thought something was bad, I'm not wasting my time on a movie.
Sometimes you have to watch the bad stuff so you can make yourself just, just
Appreciate
get
the
that
good
out of your
stuff a little
system.
bit more.
Yeah, just get it out of your system.
That's an interesting take. Shade LSU Kelly, dude without coach on national television. He complains about not doing a better job. Enlighten me.
Brian Kelly losing again.
I know he lost, but what did he say? That's the
he basically threw his roster under the bus. He said they needed better quarterback play when their quarterback play was probably the best thing they had throughout the night. He slammed the table in frustration, but it looked like he was performing. Again, it was a little performative, a little bit. But
Bork's on the Brian Kelly train too. Says he hasn't had LSU ready for the opener 3 years in a row. That does seem to be a theme. LSU gets better late in the year, and you look back and go, "Wow, if only they hadn't peed the bed in week 1."
The last time they won in week 1 was 2019 with Joe Burrow.
Yeah, it's crazy. Maybe the 12-team playoff will help them if they can get hotter late in the year and potentially sneak in there. But yeah, definitely not great for Brian Kelly.
Yes. Do you have shade today, Sam?
Yeah, I do.
You want to keep going? Yeah.
WWE pay-per-view. Let's see what else we got. Shade on the movie Brian's Song. Because Gale Sayers played for the Bears.
Oh God. That's a funny shade. Great. Try to not cry in that movie.
Yeah. So my shade is going to be college football related too. It's not going to be on a team. It's not going to be on a coach. It's going to be on a fan. I'm shading at 321 Knowles on Twitter. Shade 321 Knowles. If you're unfamiliar with 321 Knowles, 321 Knowles posted after Florida State lost to Georgia Tech and said, "Hey, we're not losing to Boston College, though. We might have lost to Georgia Tech, but we're not going to lose to Boston College." Went as far as to say, if Florida State loses to Boston College, I will eat dog doo-doo out of a red Solo cup, video it, and post it. His Twitter account, Facebook account, Instagram account, complete online presence was deleted by the third quarter. I toe the line between I respect it, brother. You got to do what you got to do. Get out of there, and be like, you just cursed your team. Like the 321 Knowles curse is going to live forever. And what he should have done, because I discussed this with my friends live watching the game last night. What could he put? What is your out here? And I'm like, you either have to never exist on the internet ever again, or fake it. Go to a cake place,
Yes, dude, no, you can't fake it.
Yes,
you have no.
That would have been the move. What you would have done it, Austin?
I would have not tweeted it in the first place.
Fair,
but you can't fake that. You have to go soft serve fresh out of where it comes from. You have to prove all real in this. Yes.
Nope. I think that's what everybody wants.
That's what you have. If you're going to do that, you can't. That's like when Austin Huff, we mentioned him a couple times. So if you're going to Chicago, check out his party with cork bats. But when Austin Huff tweeted if this gets 500 retweets or whatever, 5,000 retweets, I'll wear Kim Mulkey's jacket or whatever, and it just blew up, and so he went through with it. Now
that's Kim Mulkey's jacket, which was funny online.
Yeah, I know, but it's the thing that you don't expect to blow up that blows up that you have to be prepared to do. You have to be prepared to follow through with it just in case, or you can't send it.
Okay, I'm gonna get into Austin Stanley's Twitter account and fire off, or I'll just tweet from A to Z Sports Nashville. If the Titans don't make the playoffs, Austin Stanley will blah 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 blah.
No, you will not.
Okay, that's my shade. I don't know.
I brought you in this company. I can take you out.
It's the fact that we didn't even wait until the
They
fourth
lost.
quarter.
Yeah,
We
it
didn't
was
even
just
wait
done.
till it was like halftime. I'm gone. I'm beating the traffic on this one. That I'm like, come on, man. We gotta hang in the pocket for another quarter, and you got to go down with the ship. Like if you're gonna go down, you got to go down to the last whistle. So
It was very, very, very funny. And, Jack McGuire, one of Barstool's guys, is out there like chasing down into finding all of
he
his
like
information.
texted the guy. He like found his phone number and was like, dude, you have to do it.
Well, look, it's like if you were his buddy, you would give his number to Jack from Barstool.
Well, true. And I guess here's the spin zone of it that Knowles 321 can potentially like. There is a world where now, let me just put this out there. He comes back to Twitter, makes a new account, does it, and like goes viral and becomes one of the bigger FSU Twitter accounts on Twitter right now. That maybe you can turn this negative and awful thing that you have to do into like a potential long-term positive where you're like, now look at I'm like gagging thinking about it though. So we can move on. I'm sorry. I'm an empath, Austin. I think about
All right.
What's your shade?
My shade is I do grocery delivery. It saves a lot of time. It saves a lot of my time. It does.
I might shade you for being a grocery delivery guy.
Okay. I mean, I've been doing it for maybe almost 3 years, at least over 2 years for sure.
So you do delivery to your house?
To the house, yes.
Okay,
Now,
that's not as bad. My
like,
fiance does the whole like I'm gonna pull my car in front of the store and have them bring out my stuff to me, which I would shade a little bit.
No, so I go to the grocery store, right, to get a few things here and there when we need it in a pinch. But when I'm doing my regular like weekly like main order, that's what gets delivered to my house. And so Matt says, you're shading this again. Didn't they fix your apples? So here's the problem. Because yesterday I did a grocery order. I had four problems with this order. One, the kale bunch was underneath the canned items and just completely
not the kale bunch.
But that was ridiculous, right? You don't know who does that. Nobody does that. The grapes that we got were all shriveled on the top. Nobody would buy the grapes for themselves. I wanted 1.5 pounds of apples. 1.5 pounds, right? That's maybe 3 or 4. I got 10 apples. I got 6 pounds of apples that I had to pay for. I don't need that many apples. That's ridiculous. I don't have any place to put these. I also asked for 1 pound of like russet potato. I got 5 pounds of russet potato. If anybody needs any potato soup, let me know. I've got 7 potatoes and I've got 10 apples. Now, like that's like $25 of things that I had to pay for. And look, I've got refunded for it all, but it's like, who misses by that much?
I would like to have a moment of silence for the kale bunch.
No, see that I was going in chronological order.
See, you're disrespecting the kale bunch right now, Austin. You're breaking the moment of silence.
What's wrong with kale? You guys don't like kale on the side of stuff? Like kale's good.
Kale bunch, those. I have a solution for you. You shop for yourself. You won't mess it up.
I do that, yeah, but again,
hop in a podcast, go around the store.
What about that? I can't
15 minutes out of your day.
15 minutes?
Yeah, dude. One trip. If you go in with a list and an agenda.
I go in with a list, but it's not about that. There's a lot of things to do, and I don't have the time to go for the big weekly order.
Okay. Pour one out for the kale bunch, as Brian is saying in the chat.
You guys should eat kale. It's good. It's good for you, and it helps with your vitamins. But I think that you should do kale. It's good, but don't put produce under the cans. We all know that. You learn how to do that. You learn how to grocery shop and how to bag your own stuff. But seriously, come on, like over the 4 times the apples and potatoes that I wanted.
I love this. I find this so funny.
Like seriously, I asked for 1.5 pounds of apples. I get 6. 1 pound of potatoes. I get 5. That's not even close.
This reminds me of, I don't know why, pop culture reference that probably nobody will get, but it's the Kim Kardashian, Kanye West, where she goes, "Can you believe we don't have a jacuzzi?" And Kanye goes, "Can you believe we don't have a jacuzzi?"
I don't know what that is.
That's what you're giving. That's the vibes you're giving right now. You're like, "Can you believe they ruined the kale bunch?" Oh my God, the kale bunch. Not the kale bunch.
It was just
anything but the kale bunch.
No, it was just the first of 4 problems that I saw in the middle of it.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, I'm sorry for your loss there.
No, literally, that's like $35 of food.
Which you got refunded for.
Yes.
So what's the problem?
It's ridiculous. Now I have so many apples and potatoes sitting around. So many.
Okay. All right. We can wrap up.
My problem is the person that shopped and their pure just laziness with everything. That's the problem. The shade is on the shopper.
You inconvenience them by making them.
This is their job.
True. That is true. That's a fair point. But like, hey, there's an easy solution, easy out.
Corey says, donate the extra food. I mean, like, I'm going to eat the apples. I eat an apple every day. Like, I'm going to eat the apples, hopefully before they go bad. But then I just have so many potatoes. I don't know what to do with it. I wanted 2 potatoes. We were going to have baked potatoes this week. And now I have 7 potatoes. What the hell am I going to do with that?
7 baked potatoes.
Would you like a potato?
I would love a potato. Maybe you can deliver a potato.
I will give you some potatoes. Gosh, ridiculous.
No. All right. There you go, guys.
Look, that's what Shade's all about. It's all about just dumb stuff that makes you mad. All right. That's it for us, guys. Don't forget, we do have an announcement coming out in about 30 minutes on Twitter. So make sure you're watching that a couple of days.
Can I tease the announcement?
Can you tease the announcement for today or for yes? If you want to, you can.
New employee alert.
Yes.
Mic drop. Alert. Kale drop.
Smushed kale. Sad.
And shriveled up grapes.
Shriveled grapes. Nobody wants their grapes shriveled. I didn't want raisins.
I like raisins.
I do, but I didn't want raisins.
All right.
All right. New employee alert coming up in about 30 minutes on Twitter. Make sure you go check that out. Also, hit that like button if you're watching on Facebook, on YouTube. As we head out of here, like the show before you go. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube, our page on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, everywhere. You got to, because it is the regular season, content galore for the next 6 months. So get ready for it as we kick off this Titan season this week. And we'll catch you guys tomorrow, where our announcement will make their debut on Wednesday's show. So how about that tease too? So we'll catch you guys on a Wednesday. Buck Rising live tonight for A to Z Sports Primetime. We'll catch you later. Appreciate it.